I'm Brian Crow, the General Manager of Destination El Paso, and it's my distinct pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to our news conference this morning, announcing the second annual El Paso Heritage Tourism Summit right here in El Paso, March 22nd at the Judson F. Williams Convention Center. Heritage tourism is defined as travel directed towards experiencing the heritage of a city, a region, a state, or a country. Heritage tourism enables the tourist to learn about and be surrounded by local customs, traditions, history, and culture, of which we have no shortage here in El Paso. In addition to producing an economic impact, heritage tourism produces other intangible benefits by educating visitors about the proud and rich heritage of an area and bringing people in the tourism, preservation, and economic development communities together with a common purpose. We are very proud to partner with Senator Jose Rodríguez's Heritage Tourism Committee, the El Paso County Historical Commission, the El Paso Heritage Alliance, and the El Paso History Radio Show on this event. Before I turn over the podium this morning to Bernie Sargent and Jackson Polk, I'd like to invite our state senator, Jose Rodríguez, to say a few words about his involvement with heritage tourism. Senator Rodríguez, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Buenos dias. I have more than a few words to say about heritage tourism, as I do about most things. What a pleasure it is here to share the good news, Jackson, the good news about heritage tourism and our summit. And as you know, and it was mentioned, my office has directed resources to support a District 29 Heritage Tourism Advisory Committee that's been working since 2011. And I want to first acknowledge the committee for its consistent commitment to our mission. Our monthly convenings enabled all the stakeholders that are involved from all over the county, including the sponsors of this important event, to advance our mission of preserving and advocating for our collective heritage and building a heritage tourism sector. Now, I want to congratulate the Visit El Paso folks for embracing the efforts of our constituents and our committee members, specifically the El Paso Heritage Alliance, Jackson Polk, and the El Paso County Historical Society. I think that's important. The advisory committee was established because I believe that heritage tourism, just like my friends here, is a sector that merits our investment and our attention here in El Paso and in the state of Texas. It is about developing a community-based enterprise, and I want to emphasize community-based, that stimulates our regional economy, builds on our local pride, creates powerful educational experiences, preserves traditional crafts and skills, and creates jobs through spending by arts and cultural organizations and their audiences. So let me share some figures with you. The Texas Historical Commission reported that in 2011, over 200 million people traveled to experience the heritage resources in the state of Texas. They spent $6.3 billion in the process. Now, a study here in the city of El Paso in 2007 provides the closest estimates we have regarding the impact of our local arts and culture industry. Although these figures don't relate exclusively to heritage tourism, they affirm our conviction that investments like this training summit aren't frivolous. They actually reap dividends for us. Here's what the city found: a total economic impact of $91 million, comprising 2,500 jobs, $5 million in transportation revenue, $6 million to our hotels, $25 million for our restaurants and bars, and over $4 million in local government revenue. Now remember, this is just the arts and cultural aspects and there's other features for heritage tourism. So as you can see, heritage tourism is a serious business. This summit is a product of a commitment among the stakeholders to convert competition to collaboration here in El Paso and to capitalize on the creativity and business savvy of our heritage tourism stakeholders. When the El Paso Heritage Alliance first proposed the concept of collaborating on a groundbreaking training event, they incorporated the advice of their fellow advisory committee members. City Representative Lily Limon then brought our groups together with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and their subsequent brainstorming resulted in the Heritage Tourism Summit. Although this was not a new idea, Jackson Polk had this idea a year ago and had the first summit, and so we got to give credit where credit is due. We know that the Texas mystique is a powerful magnet that draws visitors from all over the world. Well, El Paso plays a huge role in that story, as we all know. Through this collaboration, we have taken a giant leap forward on capitalizing on our rich heritage. History lovers know that we have a profound cache of cultures and stories in our region. What are we talking about? Indigenous people, Waco tanks, the earliest trails in the Southwest, the place where North America begins, El Camino Real, our important Mission Valley communities, and our missions, our railroad history, hundreds of years of military history, renowned architecture, our heroic patriots, the Mexican Revolution, international migration in the Segundo Barrio. We're the Ellis Island of the Southwest. The history and impact of our 5 international bridges, and yes, the beginnings of the Chicano Movimiento for social justice in our state, right here in El Paso. I mean, this is just to name a few, my friends, just to name a few. So our citizens have recognized the merits of our cultural treasures and have made the investment through bond projects like the Digital Wall, the Hispanic Cultural Center, and the Children's Museum to strengthen the sites and cultural attractions that contribute to livability and build our awareness for our residents and tourists about our great city. And through mechanisms that combine this wisdom and values of our citizens with public agency skill sets and resources, I believe El Paso can emerge as a leader in citizen-driven initiatives that are inclusive, inspiring, and which continue or will continue to set us apart as a city of vision and entrepreneurship. I want to thank all of you for joining our efforts. Thank you again to Visit El Paso, whose involvement represents a key component necessary for moving forward cohesively on a marketing plan that showcases our treasure trove of culture, history, and experience. And I want to close by reminding you that my office relies on active and engaged citizens to inform our work and to help shape effective policy. So I invite you to join the Heritage Tourism Advisory Committee for Senate District 29, and you can call my office here in El Paso at 915-351-3500 if you're interested. I look forward to continuing this great work with all of you and to help provide solutions to the people of Senate District 29 and to our great state. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Senator, thank you for your leadership on this. I want to introduce now Bernie Sargent and Jackson Polk to speak about the summit. Bernie?
I'm a man of few words, as most people know. I looked at the senator for that, didn't I? Name is Bernie Sargent, Chairman of the County Historic Commission. I've been involved with the Heritage Alliance now for a little over a year when the idea was first floated that we combine and use our efforts to promote the heritage and culture of El Paso and West Texas. And I would like to personally thank the Convention Visitors Bureau, especially Chelsea and Veronica, for their assistance, invaluable assistance. Brian Crow, the General Manager, for supporting them in that effort. Jackson Polk and Capstone Productions for their heading up this whole program, and for the video that they provided online, which, by the way, we will be also sharing with the world as this moves forward on the 22nd of March. The Heritage Alliance, Shelley Sutherland and Herb Price, for all the work they've devoted to this since they've moved back here into El Paso and now call this their home. And also would like to thank my wife, Melissa, for supporting me in my efforts to work to better and to promote El Paso's heritage. The Senator mentioned a number of things about heritage tourism and cultural tourism as it pertains to El Paso. Another fact that's come to light is that by the year 2018, according to international tourist experts, tourism will be the 3rd ranking industry in the United States. That's an incredible number. El Paso has done quite a bit in the most recent years to promote tourism, and we've done a great job in promoting our art tourism. Our mission is to complement the art tourism with the heritage tourism, which includes architecture, archaeology, anthropology, just a number of different things that we can boast we have more of than just about any other place in North America. And to that end, we would like to continue to promote what we have and share this with the rest of the world and create not only a vision for folks that live outside El Paso, but a vision for El Pasoans to have esprit de corps, a pride in their community. Our efforts for years now have been to keep El Pasoans here, but we need to share with them why it's so exciting to be part of El Paso. This has been our home for 27 years, and for the foreseeable future, we will continue to call this our home, and we would like to continue to promote El Paso to El Pasoans of all ages, as well as the rest of the world. We would like to make this a destination location for folks when they're traveling, a place to go to, not through, on Interstate 10. And to that end, we have to promote more than just a handful of events that take place in the community throughout the year. This has to be a weekend visit, a weekday visit, a place, a time for people to come here and go to the Museum of History, Museum of Art, the Future Museum for the Children, just the Museum of Science. We have a number of assets that we need to learn about and to promote. And to that end, we anticipate having somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 exhibits of sites that will be located at the summit so people can learn more about the different heritage sites that we have, heritage and cultural sites that we have here in El Paso. And we're going to have approximately 20 or so speakers and presenters there, which will include representatives from the Texas Travel Association, Texas Historical Commission. We are also going to have the mayor, our county judge, Senator Rodríguez will also be in attendance. So we'll have the who's who of the people that are pushing behind the scenes to make this a reality for El Pasoans. And one of those people that has pushed very hard since I met him years ago when he came back here from Washington, D.C., is Jackson Polk. May I introduce Jackson? Jackson Polk is the man from Capstone Productions and the producer of the El Paso History Radio Show every Saturday morning from 10 to 12 on KTSM, just a little plug. And we are very proud to be a friend of his, a partner of his, and a supporter of what he's trying to accomplish for El Paso and West Texas. Jackson Polk.
Just to let you know, one thing, we do have a bit of an attitude. It's right here on this board. We think El Paso history is worthy, and we think Texas history actually begins in El Paso. And we're out to prove it every Saturday morning, 10 to noon, KTSM, AM 690. And I want to address a couple of things here on why we think El Paso history actually matters. You know, things are changing all over El Paso, including how we market our historic assets. It's all good, as the saying goes, and it's about to get even better. Our region's rich heritage and diverse history is something that can help us turn El Paso into a destination city that's world class. Our history is unique because it's not one story, many overlapping interwoven stories, and many of the events that took place here are considered turning points in North American history. We have authentic American history here in El Paso. Did you know there are dinosaur tracks out here? That's even older history than all that. Keystone Heritage Park, ancient history right here on Donovan Drive. And for centuries, people of the old families and the old Native Americans were kind of amazed to see the Oñate crowd showing up in 1598. But that all blended together, and that turning into a European and native traditions were blended at that point. And we also built the country's oldest mission trail at that moment, and ultimately the cultural foundation of the American Southwest, that have been also named the city. El Paso has always been an important north-south route, but its role in east-west travel grew greatly in the 1840s when the California Gold Rush came. The senator alluded to a number of the various history assets that we have, and that's just some of the treasure trove of history that we do have here. So I think that if people knew about this history, they would come to visit. Now, it's almost that easy, but now we need to start telling these people outside of El Paso, and we need to take our rightful place in a growing industry sector called heritage tourism. I'm from the television industry. I use television to get our message out, and that's what I've been doing with the DVDs we create. This program here is now live on the internet on 3 websites around the planet. So we intend to use television and technology to promote El Paso history. And the tourists are some of the most desirable, the heritage tourists, because of the dollars that they bring in, as Bernie mentioned. TV can happen now. Some people think we need to wait for a bit to create an infrastructure. We don't really need history venues because the whole city is a history venue. What we need is basically to tell them what we have. And one way to do that, it's twofold. Television on a small scale can be put on locations in downtown El Paso. We're looking at possibly the kiosks with the Wayfinder units to put a QR code on one of those so that you can walk up and get the history of that spot on any decade going backwards. That's one idea. A larger idea is to do a TV series. In the old days, a PBS-style series. Nowadays, it would be an internet series. And we would put that out on television to explain what is El Paso. Because it's my opinion that if we wait for the national news media to come tell our story, they're only going to be concerned about what's going on next door and how we're reacting to it. When we have all this great history to talk about, we have to be the ones to promote it. We want to really thank all the people who've gotten involved. The radio show kind of started this whole thing. The Heritage Alliance got involved very quickly. And it's the El Paso County Historical Commission. It was mentioned, the name was incorrectly stated earlier. It's the El Paso County Historical Commission, and that's a function of the county. Also, the El Paso Convention Visitors Bureau understands what we're doing, and I think we can help them define what is the heritage. As they create packages to promote El Paso, we'd like to help to define what is in the history and heritage segment. So that's basically it for that. Jose Rodríguez was very helpful in creating the concept of what is heritage tourism. Those of us who are already working on it jumped on it pretty quick. And it's a lot to do here in El Paso. There is a tremendous amount of history that we really haven't totally talked about. Waco tanks, geology, it's a great place. And also El Paso is the gateway to Mexico, but that can't be the only thing we're known for. That will come back again as a major tourist event. But in the meantime, we think a lot of tourists will come to see us for the history. And imagine when all that gets put together, it's mixed in with our world-class art museum. Got to talk about the art museum. We'll have a AAA baseball team just up the street here. And many of the downtown events that we know about that are regularly occurring in El Paso. The tourist will be able to choose from a multifaceted menu of places to go and things to do, and promoting El Paso's authentic nature can help make it a destination city. I think tourists will come here for baseball, but they'll all stay maybe for some of the history. And one last special announcement before I close here. There's a special person who will join us at the El Paso Heritage Tourism Summit, and she is the cultural ambassador of El Paso, our beloved Rosa Guerrero. She has agreed to come to the summit and give us a full rundown on the history of dance in El Paso and in the Americas, and we're very happy to have her come on board as well. She's also joining our groups and will become a spokesperson very soon for the same kind of thing you're hearing here. Anyway, March 22nd, mark the date, 2014. That's the El Paso Heritage Tourism Summit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you all for coming this morning. Once again, please join us on March 22nd at the Convention Center for the summit. The registration begins at 8 a.m., and we hope to see everybody there. Thank you again.